Well, today we are talking about AppSheet. And if you have a computer and you want to try and do this with me, let me give you the caveats. You have to have a workspace account. So if you're at gmail.com, you won't have AppSheet. So it does have to be on like your work account or if you have a personal workspace. And I have a couple of slides, but mostly what we're going to do is we're going to build this app together. My socials are Alice Keeler. You can find me everywhere. AliceKeeler.com is my website. I'm at AliceKeeler.com on Blue Sky. Everybody's leaving Twitter, but on Twitter I'm at Alice Keeler. On Instagram I'm Alice Keeler. On LinkedIn I'm Alice Keeler. On TikTok I'm Alice Keeler. You just Google search Queen of Spreadsheets. I'm going to come up. I'm easy to find. Okay. Where's my clicker? And I have a fancy clicker. Oop, oop. Yay, okay. So we're looking at, this is no code, low code. You can connect this to, with Google Apps Script, and you can connect it to a Google Cloud project, so you can make this much more robust. But what we're gonna do is a no code app, something that you can just do really quickly. They're not gonna be super polished and looking like your iPhone apps, but they're going to be functional to help you to get things going quickly. Now, I had, in my previous life, been really good at making access databases. And I would just walk around, I'm a teacher, I'd just walk around campus during my prep hour, and I'd go into different offices around campus. We had 100 teachers and 4,500 students, so it's a big campus. I'm like, what are you doing? That looks inefficient. And I go back to my classroom, and I'd make an access database to run all of the offices all around campus. So you can imagine what happened when I quit. They kept calling me for 5 years. AppSheet is Google's version of Access. It is a relational database with a nice user interface that's super simple and intuitive and uses machine learning to predict kind of how your app is going to work. So you really get from zero to a functional app very quickly. If you had a really basic idea, I can make you something in 15 minutes, honestly. And that's what we're going to do today. So I have a spreadsheet sample for you to try. So if you have a computer and you want to try it, which doesn't look like really anybody does because we're not doing it on an iPad, that's fine. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to show you how easy it is. That's my whole demo is live demo. I'm going to make an app. So if you do have a phone though, why don't you look at this one that I made as a sample. So if you go to alicekeeler.com/appsheetdemo, I was doing a hackathon. Google hired me to do a hackathon for CTOs of school districts. And we're trying to show off to them how they can use Google Workspace to solve IT problems. So what I wanted to do is create an app that would say, here's all of the tools, the Google tools that you can use, and then depending on your role in the school district, if you're a CTO or if you're the office manager or if you're a parent, here's how you might use those tools. And so then I had a tutorial of different use cases for each of the tools by user. So if you want to take a look at this with me, here is the QR code. So if you'll just pull this up. I got the idea to make this demo a week before the event, and I'm putting on the whole event. The lady at Google said, don't call me, I'm showing up. So I was doing all of it to put this together for a 5-hour hackathon. It wasn't a real hackathon, but that's what we were calling it. So in addition to doing all those other things, I'm putting this app together. So when I say you can do this very quickly to get something usable in the hands of people, I mean it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open this up. I think it looks better on my phone. I have the settings set that it doesn't do desktop mode. So there's a view for the computer and then there's a view for your phone. I do have it set up that this is kind of phone view, although it's not perfect. You'll see that I have the icons on the left where you're going to see the icons on the bottom. I like them better on the bottom. But if you'll click here on the smiley face, which you'd see the smiley face at the bottom, these are the users, right? You could be CTO. You could be the office staff, you could be the tech coach, you could be IT. So now think about how much data that I have to put into here to say like, okay, Gmail, how does the CTO use Gmail? How does the office staff use Gmail? How does the IT admin use Gmail? So I can break those down. I can break it down by user, or I could break it down by tool. If we're just talking Gemini, see, I click this, it gives me a definition of the tool. It's got a link to the tool that is a live hyperlink. No tool tutorials. How about this one? That's the Gemini I meant. No? No. Is this the right app? I have tutorials. Where did they go? Here's one. Okay, right? So then it has a table of all the tutorials that I made. And when I click on the tutorial, it's going to show me these are the step-by-step things that I can do. And then at the bottom, it's going to take me back to, here's the list of the tools that I used for this tutorial, because I could have used more than one tool. And then I can go back and I can find other tutorials that relate to that. So you can see how I have it all mapped around. And I can do it from the user point of view. So if I was the CTO, I have all of these tutorials for these different tools. And I have them all interconnected depending on which one. So you get, this is a spreadsheet. It's actually just a spreadsheet, but you can see how the user interface on this is a lot nicer and have a lot more control. If I click on this, what happens? So I'm just going to give you a minute to play around with this, just for funsies. It is incomplete, as I just showed you. I'm just pretty proud of what I was able to pull off in that short amount of time. And I made all the data with Gemini. I will demonstrate that. Oh, okay. They're completely different products. So YouTube, you watch videos. Vids, you make videos. Yeah. I'm going to do one of those in the background really quick. So if I go to vids.new, and I have Gemini on this account. So you'll see here it says to describe what we're going to make a video of, how to create an app, how to get started making an AppSheet app using spreadsheet data. So it's going to take it a little while, so I'm just going to let this kind of spin, but what it's doing is Gemini is, well, I did it really quickly. What is AppSheet? How do you do it? Here's how you set it up. Here's how you do the design layout. Here's how you connect it. Here's how you install it, building it. Like it created the whole outline of the video, but it does more than that. That's going to take some time. It actually makes a transcript for each scene, and it has a teleprompter. So it's pretty awesome, since you asked. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an app from data that's already in a Google Sheets spreadsheet. So I asked Gemini, hey, I want to make an app that is student device checkout. Give me some tables of sample data. So I did all of this from having Gemini create my tables. Now if you already have your tables, it's probably better because then it's the tables that you know you want, but this is actually really helpful to suggest tables. I'm really good with data, but most people aren't. So when they start to set stuff up, you go in, you're like pointing out to them that you don't put name. You got to put first name and last name separately. You know, when you want to look somebody up, they alphabetize by first name. Nobody wants that. It also really restricts the ways that you can look things up. So if you're not really good at data, starting with Gemini really helps. That's what I was showing you. Where'd that go? So I'm going to say here in the sidebar, create a table of sample data that has a user at a school, the user ID, the Google tool they might use, and a use case for the Google tool. This is not the prompt that I initially used. This is kind of like it, so it's not going to be exactly the table that I want. But you can see it actually made the table with the columns that I wanted with sample data. So when I'm starting to build my app, I like to have some sample data so I can see the flow of the interface. I need something. And especially as I'm just building it out, fake data is great. Now what's really extra awesome about this is not only is my data in a spreadsheet, it stays in my spreadsheet. So where does my data live? In my Google Drive. It's not living on, well, I mean, it's on Google servers, but it's my drive. So if you trust things in your drive, then this is awesome. And I can add data through the app, or I can just add it straight onto the spreadsheet. I can delete rows on the spreadsheet, and it updates the data in the app. So that's really a nice, flexible model. So I click Insert. So I started by describing what do I want my app to look like in Google Gemini, and I'm like, make me some sample tables, and then this is the coolest thing, is that when you ask Gemini to create you a table, it'll export to Google Sheets. So that gets me halfway there already, because to create this app, I'm going to start with this Google Sheets spreadsheet, and it's going to be the backbone of my data structure for my app, and it's going to continue to be. So I do want to have a Google Sheets spreadsheet. All right, so then I have a students table. I'm going to track devices. We're checking out Chromebooks and different things. So I have a table of students, I have a table of devices, and I have a table of who's checking things in and out. Now, one thing I want you to notice is this is an unstructured data table. This is in their new table format. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can have it in table format. It cannot be in table format. But I'll just tell you is that when I add new data to my app and that data comes back to the spreadsheet, it's not formatted in these nice drop downs, and so for that reason I usually just leave it as unstructured data because it's not going to stay pretty, so I might as well not have it pretty in the first place. So that's just an opinion. Now the thing to notice about these tables is that I have a unique identifier. So each table is in its own sheet, so we're not going to mix types of information. So I have a list of students, it's on its own table, and I have a unique identifier for students. And then on my list of devices, it's on its own sheet and it has a unique identifier for each device that I have. And then a separate sheet is tracking the checking in and the checking out. One of the most popular things I've ever made for teachers is a bathroom checkout spreadsheet. And it is really lame. Like, I can't believe anybody would use this, let alone that it would be the most popular thing that I have. So I have a button on the Google Sheets spreadsheet that inserts the timestamp. See, I told you it was stupid. I mean, but it's teachers, so you know. Yeah. So you know when kids go to the bathroom, they need to push the button that inserts the timestamp, because I'm not going to trust them to type the right date and time. And when they come back, they move the mouse and they push the button again and it inserts the date and time. And then I have a formula that says how many minutes they were gone. I know, it's dumb. But here's what happens. Kids went to the bathroom and the bathroom got vandalized. So you're going to get a phone call later that says, hey, the bathroom is vandalized somewhere between 1 o'clock and 1:30. Who was outside of your classroom during this time? Well, if you've got this on paper, you got to read the kids' handwriting and trust that they put in the right times. So you can see having it in a spreadsheet gives you a lot better data on that you can pull these things up. So it was really popular. So you can actually do this exact same thing, and I did, but way cooler in AppSheet. So I had a list of the, I have a list of the kids' names. I have a list on one sheet. On another sheet, I have anywhere they could go in the school, the library, the front office, the nurse, the north bathroom, the gym bathroom, whatever, and then the check-in, check-out. So the problem with a Google form, why don't you just use a Google form? It doesn't check in, check out. So they fill it out and submit. Now what do they do when they come back? That's a problem. But with AppSheet, what I'm able to do is kid says, hey, Miss Keeler, can I go to the bathroom? I've got a filter where I'm in second period, so it's only showing me my kids from second period, even though my students tab has all my students for all periods. So I'm only looking at second period. I tap on the kid's name, and then I hit submit. It automatically timestamps it that they went out. And then in the I have a table that shows filtered of who's checked out to the bathroom or wherever, who hasn't returned. And it puts a little clock on there, so when I see the kid walk back in the door, I literally tap the clock, It changes them from no to yes that they've returned, and it inserts the timestamp of what time they returned without me interrupting my flow of teaching. I know you wanted that. I only shared that story because of you. So this is a similar idea, except it's not going to the bathroom 20 times during the class hour, but checking out Chromebooks or whatever, so the same kind of thing. But you'll notice what I have. Is this going to work? Yes. Is I have a column that says student ID and a column that says device ID. And those column headers match. They don't have to match, but I highly suggest that they match, that they are the same, because it just makes your formulas a lot easier to write. The student ID on the student table and the data, the device ID on the data table, and I have a unique checkout ID. So each table has a unique ID, and anything it's referencing has a column with the same reference ID, unique identifier from that table. Notice what this doesn't say is first name. It doesn't say last name. It doesn't say class period, because all of that stuff is on the students table. So I only need this one column, because never duplicate data. Never. Put in once. You only put data in once. And even here, while it looks like I've got student data replicated, don't forget that if I was doing this through the app, as I'm adding in checkouts, I'm picking the student and I'm picking the device. I'm not entering that information. Okay, so, ready to make this into an app? Wait. You go to the extensions menu, you select AppSheet, and you do create an app. Okay, I'm done. It's really nice for you to come, thank you. Okay, it's not quite that easy, but isn't it? I mean, it is almost that easy. So if you are able to get some good data tables and really think about what column matches which table, you're 90% of the way there, because you literally are just going to the extensions menu, choosing AppSheet, and you create an app. You have to have Google Workspace. It does work for Google for EDU, so we're good. The rest of you schmoes, I don't know. If your work uses Outlook, you might not have AppSheet. you got to have Workspace. And there's a lot of places that weirdly use Workspace, that's Google Docs, Sheet Slides, but not Gmail, right? They still use Outlook. No one likes that. No one likes that, just if you're an IT person. No one likes that. Okay. I am. I'm going to do it right now. So this is what I got my GIF, and then we're going to do it. So this is the app that I was able to just make really quickly from the table as a sample. Then I'm going to do it for realsies. But you'll see how I'm picking the device and I'm picking the student. This is really dumb data and a really basic sample. So just roll with it, okay? But the device doesn't really make sense in this context, but we're just going to go, just roll with it. So I do use Gemini to help me to do this because I need to create formulas that describe some of the actions and behaviors that are happening in my app, and it's a very specific, it's not like a spreadsheet formula. I mean, there's some things that are similar to it, but it's very specific to AppSheet. The heck I know how to do that! So every time I bop over to Gemini and I say, so I go to gemini.google.com, I'm like, okay, so I'm making an AppSheet app, and these are my tables, and I use all my words to really describe these tables, and these are my column headers, and I'll even like connect up the spreadsheet that I have into the Gemini conversation so it knows what we're talking about. So that when it gives me the suggested filter formula, it gives me the right column headers in the brackets so I don't have to edit it. So I have no idea how to write these formulas because Gemini always does it for me. It's amazing. So if you want to do this with me, if you have a computer, you can go to alicekeeler.com/try-AppSheet. Don't use this QR code because you cannot do AppSheet on your phone. So ask me why I put a QR code on there. Because you don't have your computer and you're going to open it on your phone and send it to your computer to play with later. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, exactly. I just want to have some realistic expectations that you ain't doing this on your phone. You also are not doing Google Vids on your phone. Yet. It just came out last week, so yeah. Let's go see how our video is looking, shall we? Come on. All right, so this is boring, but you see I literally just made me a video, but what you're not seeing is that I wrote a script. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here to record, and it's going to give me this teleprompter. Using AppSheet with spreadsheets allows you to easily create apps without the need for coding or any technical expertise. So now it's inserted my video, which I did stupidly on a later slide. Okay, where is it? I didn't put it that far in. All right, you know what? I'm going to fix this. Where did my video go? Here it is. I'm going to move it to the front. All right. I don't have any sound connected, but you would be hearing me. I was wondering why there's no music, because it does put music on it. But it just does that all for you, Google Vids. But you do have to have the Gemini add-on for your workspace to get it. That alone is a good reason to pay for Gemini add-on. Right. And you and I can talk about all the limitations of Canva, because I definitely make videos in Canva, and it's better than other things, for sure. But this is great. Okay, all right. So I have So you've either emailed yourself this alicekeeler.com/try-appsheet, or you've got it up on your computer here. You can play with this later. We're just going to do this together. I am going to name this Delete Demo, because I'm going to go to appsheet.com, which, by the way, appsheet.google.com does not work, despite how many times I accidentally put that in my newsletter. They bought out AppSheet, so it was a separate company, and now it's part of Google. So for now, it's just appsheet.com, not Google. Anyway, right, so I've got my table of students, I got my table of devices, I have my checkout, and I'm going to go to extensions, I'm going to do AppSheet, and I'm going to create an app. Just like I create a video. Drink some tea. Now here's the thing, it actually only pulls in the first table, which I find really annoying. I feel like it should ask me which tables I want to pull in, but I think they're trying to show off, ta-da, there's an app and you didn't do anything. So it's an actual preview of the app, so you see it's the students and their ID number, and I'm going to just type in an ID number, I'm going to give it a name. Linda, how do you spell your last name?
K-O-B-A-C-S.
Right? And what grade are you in, Linda? You're in 9th grade, great. Okay, your homeroom teacher is Miss Harrison. And your email, that's because you ditch all the time. Saved. Now, I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet, and I'm going to go to my students table. So it's live. That is the live app. So it's going to, for each of those tables, it's going to create a form that's going to allow me to submit data in a format that I can do while I'm on the move at work instead of having to fill out rows of spreadsheet data. So that alone is really helpful, right? All right, and I'm going to close out of that. So over here on the right-hand side, you're going to see the demonstration of your app. It is fully functional. You can use it there. You can add data in. It has a toggle for edit, so that as I hover over this, I can design these elements of the app a little bit better, and if I want to test it, I'm going to toggle that off. Now over here on the left-hand side, this very first icon is deploy. Don't worry about it. That's like way down the road. You actually really don't need it. I haven't learned how to do it yet, because you don't need it. And I'll explain that in a second. This icon here is your data table, so it's all your tables. How many tables should I have? 3. But it's only going to bring in the first 1 by default. So I have to go +, add more data. Is anybody doing this with me? Are you doing this with me? No, that's okay. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I just want to know how fast I need to go, so I can pick up the pace a little bit. That's great. So when I do that, it says, well, where do you want to get these tables from? Well, I'm going to go get it from the same spreadsheet that I had. Delete demo, here we go. And it's like, oh, do you want me to do these other 2? Yeah, you think you could have done that in the first place? But again, I think they're just trying to, ta-da, show off how fast you can get an app. So I'm going to add these 2 tables. Also, fast doesn't know what columns reference. And then you might be frustrated that you think that it should be doing something if it had just imported those in without you taking the extra step. So I kind of get it, but I don't get it. Do you see how it's giving me a warning? Because it realizes that I have columns with the same column names, and that probably I want to, everyone say this with me, reference. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, reference. That's important, because I want to reference from one table to the other, which means I need to change my data type from number, text, URL, whatever it is to, ready? Reference. Anyone tell that I teach high school for a living? All right, so the students table and the devices table is not what reference is, it's the checkout table, right? So I'm on the checkout table, and the student ID is actually doing what? Referencing the student table. So I want to change this type from number, and I'm going to choose ref. And it's just going to like pop up, and you're like, yeah, let's do this. And you just have to take this drop-down table, which is in red. You're like, yeah, that comes from the students table. And it's doing machine learning in the background, so you'll notice I'm not really having to do a whole lot of heavy lifting here. I'm more like confirming. This is a part of, I have a blog post of this on my website. If you delete the student, should it delete the checkout record? Like the student leaves, moves. I hate deleting data. Like that hurts my soul. But if you want to have clean data, the room of IT CTOs like, yeah, get rid of it. I'm like, okay. So in that case, you don't want to check this checkbox that says when one's deleted, one record is deleted in one table, the connected record would delete with it. So.
Sometimes by law, you have to delete when somebody asks to delete their data, you have to delete it.
Right, and that would be exactly the point, is the data integrity, that if someone asks you to remove their data, you want to remove it entirely, and so for that reason, you would want a checkbox is a part of. But I'm not going to do any of that. All I'm going to do is say, I am referencing the students table, so we're going to keep this simple, right? And you got to hit done, and then here's how you can tell that this is a Google product that was purchased and not made in-house, is you have to save. A lot, often, save. If you're not sure, hit save, okay? The other one, though, is the device, right? I am referencing the device table. So I'm going to switch it from text into ref. And the source table for that is devices. Why is this button so unassumingly small at the top? I do know people. Watch, I'm going to make some of this bigger. I'm old. I don't want a small button that seems to blend into the head, to whatever. And yeah, okay. All right, now I'm going to hit save. So just by doing that, let's see what happens with my app. Well, I guess I can't do a whole lot because this is still just telling me information about the student. But you'll notice now what it does when I click on the student, it says related checkouts. So when I did that ref, it automatically appended this table that it's going to list all of the checkouts. Here's the problem. On the side, you've got to get all your spreadsheets into the data, set up your reference, and then you got to add views. A view is your screen. So you got to think about what screens do you want in your app, and when you click on this on the screen, what other screen does it go to, what other views? So we're going to create some views. So you've got primary navigation, menu navigation, and reference views. So what happens is if you want a view that is in primary navigation, it shows up at the bottom. So like when you did the other one on your phone, it had the smiley face and the tools, like you could toggle those two buttons at the bottom. Those are in primary navigation. And I can easily move them, 3 dots, move it to one of the others. Menu navigation is where it's in the 3 lines, but not prominently on the screen. And then reference view says you can't get there unless you click on something. There's some sort of a behavior that when I do this, then you can see it. And only when you do this, then you can see it. So you want to decide what type of view do you want. So now when I open my app, I'm going to be checking things out. I'm going to need a table that allows me to input students and delete them, right? Oh, we got a new student. I'm going to enter you into the system. I'm going to paste them into the spreadsheet, but that's just me. The school secretary, who tells me that she is scared of spreadsheets, will use the app. I don't care. Knock yourself out. It either way works. So if it was for me, I wouldn't even have a view that lets me input students because I would rather do data entry in a spreadsheet because I'm a nerd. But if I think anybody else is going to use this, I'm having a view for inputting students. Now, devices. I'm going to have to insert devices. But do I want it to be like primary, like a button at the bottom? How often are you adding devices? Probably you copy and pasted all the devices into the spreadsheet to begin with, right? Do you really need a view for that? I mean, yeah, if I get a new device, but like I'm not doing that in batch. If I get Chromebooks for the entire school, you think I'm putting that in one at a time through an app? No freaking way. And so in that case, I would be putting it in through the spreadsheet, which would still populate the app, but I wouldn't need a view for that. Or maybe I'd need it less often. So I'm going to do this as menu navigation. I don't really understand this. It's supposed to help me make the view, but I never noticed that it does anything. So I'm like, whatever, I'll make it myself. So this view is devices, right? And it's for the data devices, so it's on that table. And then it has some different ways that you can view the data. So I can have it as a gallery, I can make a table, I can just have it individual details, and you see it lets me swipe, left, right, navigate to each of those. You can do it with a map, charts, dashboard form. Those really don't make sense with our data, but if it did make sense, it would make sense. You would know if you wanted a map. You would know. You know, if you wanted a card. So do you see how quickly I can create something that looks pretty functional? And then I'm going to come down on my view, and then I have this position. The position is where the button is. So you see this big plus icon? Okay, not the plus icon. Where it is at the bottom. So first and last, it's subtle. You see the students and devices. When I put first, it was here, and I put last, I moved it over here. So it's just helping you to get it at the bottom of your app in the right way. How do you want to sort it? I want to sort it by row number. No, I don't. I want to sort it by device ID. I don't know. It's a drop-down list. It's not rocket science. I'll let you figure out how you want to sort stuff. All right, if you want to group it but in certain ways, like by first hour students, second hour students, or by homeroom teacher, which I don't have any of that data in there, but if I did, I could have it in groups, which would again be just another drop-down multiple choice list, which would be awesome. If you want to like count some of the data that you have in there, if you want to assign it an image. I'm just going to skip those. I'm going to keep it. They're not difficult to figure out. The action bar is this trash can edit button. So those little action icons. Do you want the action icons? If the secretary is using it, no. She is not deleting my devices. I don't want to disable the ability because I might want to delete some devices, but you really, if you're going to let someone else use your app, want to idiot-proof it. You know what I'm talking about. Not everyone is as good as data as you are. I'm making jokes. You're supposed to laugh. So that's up to you. So a lot of times what I'll do is I toggle it off, and then when I do want to enter it in, I go toggle it on temporarily so that I can do it, and then I toggle it back off. Although I could just make a completely different view, one for me, and I make it a reference view, and only I know how to get to it. So that is possible. And then I kind of come here to display. I'm going to choose a different icon. This is devices, so I'm going to get a computer. I can search. Computer. Now we're talking. Look at that. Ah! Already I'm feeling cool. Well, now I'm like, wait a minute. I want a little people one for my students. Okay, cool. So I'm going to come back over here to the students, which is in primary navigation. And I am going to scroll down to the display on there, and I'm going to get a person, you know, because they're grumpy. Save. I'm just being funny. Roll with me. Help me out here. Isn't that funny? All right, fine. Whatever you want, girl. Whatever you want. I can also have this where I only show the view if it meets certain criteria. So they can't enter students unless something, right? Okay, but the devices is in the wrong place. It's down here at the bottom. I didn't want it at the bottom. I wanted it under menu navigation. But I wasn't paying attention. I used the wrong plus icon all the time. Whatever. It doesn't matter. 3 dots. I'm going to move it to menu navigation. So now down at the bottom, you see it only shows students. But if I click on the 3 lines, I can see the devices that I can access it from there. I do not want to log out. All right, so now I need a view that shows the check-in, check-out. I am going to do that one as a primary view. So I'm going to add my new view. You can try suggesting it and that letting AI create your view for you. Good luck. I'm sure it'll work better for you than me. And so this one is checkout, right? And this data is from the checkout table. And save. Okay, there we go. All right, I want the checkout. If I make my window a little bit wider, I'm zoomed in. So you see it says show in preview? So like I'm navigating, I'm using the app, but I'm not looking at what I'm designing. So I definitely want to click show me what I'm designing so I'm in the right spot. So now this is the devices. I mean, this really looks terrible. I don't want gallery. Do I want a table? I mean, I could see how I want a table view for a different reason, right? That's a reports view. Maybe I want a reports view that I only get when I click on a certain device, or I only get when I click on a student. I can see all the devices they have. If I wanted to see the actual table of all the devices, I'd go to my spreadsheet, but that's just me. You can have it in there if you want it. This is not a chart. It's not a calendar. No, I'll do details, whatever. So these are the details of the checkout. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. Now if I go up to the little man up at the top and I click share, and I do copy sharing links, this browser link, if you know what I do is I text it to my husband, so then it's on my phone. You can email it to yourself, you can email it to, your friend down the hall, and you guys are gonna use the same app together. If you're on the same domain, if it's a workspace domain, it's free. When you start trying to get people outside of your workspace domain, you run into some potentials of cost, which because they acquired it, nobody that I talk to, and I'm good friends with the PM for AppSheet, actually knows how the pricing works, so good luck. Just use it amongst yourselves. It works, then it's free. So literally, you just copy this browser link and send it to people, and that gives them the app. So I'm gonna open this up in a new tab. $10 users is free regardless. So if you're trying to scale it, just be careful who you're scaling it with. All right, so I have my app. I have devices, here's the checkout, and I wanna add, I don't have add on here. Why is there no add? It's what? Yeah, but that's edit. I wanna add a checkout. Okay, so let's go back, because in that case, I'm gonna need to come over here to my actions. So that is the third button on the side. I'm out of time in 1 minute and my battery's almost dead, so it's a good thing we really pretty much have this app working. So the four things you need to know really, right? Tables, views, and then behaviors is where you select an action that when I do this, this happens. So when I click here, it's gonna delete the row. When I click here, it's gonna add a timestamp that the kid went to the bathroom. When I click, right, whatever it is that you want to have happen, you build them in actions. And the thing that I want to point out to you is that it makes some by default. Do you see how it has compose an email? Why is compose an email on there? It has this add, so I want to edit the add because I've got an edit button. I'm going to make it prominent, inline. No, I just want it display. Where is there not? I feel like it's the default that it usually gives me this. I'm going to go back to my views because that's probably my problem. I'm on checkout. I want a card. Add. There we go. It was the view I had selected in that particular view. I'm like, I know I've done this before. Okay, great. So now I'm gonna refresh. Wait, I have to hit save. Save. Guess what foils me all the time? And then I'm gonna need to, and you'll think that you just texted somebody the link they should get the refresh view, but no, it doesn't work that way. Don't ask me why. So refresh often. You can do the little action to pull down to refresh it. So now I can add a new student checkout. So I'm checking out Sarah Jones. She's getting this device. It's on this date. It automatically assumed some returned and due date. So actually I want to go back. I'm just going to hit save. I'm going to go back to the data table on that checkout, and then I'm going to look at these rows where I can write a formula that defaults values, that calculates values. These are all today. Like, no, it's not. The due date is not today. I could do today plus 7, so it's due in a week. And the returned is not today. I'm going to enter that manually. So this expression assistant is where I ask Gemini, help me out here, write me the expression. Save. All right, let's try that again. I'm going to add. That's not where I want it, but this is what I can do in 45 minutes, friends. All right, so David's going to check out. He's going to check out this device. What, did I not? I didn't hit save. Did you all see me not hit save and not hit refresh? Because I'm that stupid. Okay, discard. Anyway, long story short, I did it. I got something functionally working. I have a spreadsheet, has some columns or some tabs of data. I use the extensions menu, make me an app sheet, add some views, and then putz around for a while. In a couple of hours, you'll have something, if it's not a very complex app, it'll work and you'll be really happy about it. and then you're going to share it with yourself. Yeah, thank you. Next time we do a 10-hour workshop, and we make a really good one.
No, it's really cool. I really like it. I so long I thought it was more difficult.
See, it's not difficult. Don't you feel like you could do it? You can do it.
You surprise me when I see my name at the table. I say, wait,
Yeah.
my name, then I figured I put it all together.
I know, I feel like that was a mic drop.
Alice?
Yeah,
How was deployment? Is there anything interesting about that?
I have never deployed one. So, okay, well, I haven't.
Okay, you're sharing.
I'm not an apps administrator besides to myself. Like, I'm the only employee at my company, so deploying something across the domain, that's what that top one is to deploy it across the domain. You can also publish them so they're in the Google Workspace Marketplace. I haven't had a need to do that yet. So today, my objective is, you know what AppSheet is and feel that you could putz around with it. Did I do that?
Absolutely.
Great. And the next time I come back, I'll do one on deploying.
How about authentication? Is that?
Yeah, you know, if you go into the, and I didn't get to that just because a 45-minute session is impossible, but on the side, when I'm designing it,